and while business is about nutrition, half of it is about life sciences and nutrition, and half of it is on materials. So I come from the material side. So that on the nutrition side, we actually make raw materials into supply into vitamins, into cosmetics. You know, if you buy L'Oreal and it whiten your face or make you more beautiful or make you have all this anti-aging, we are the one who supply the ingredients. So we have the scientists who look into all that. I have not used the product, by the way. So therefore we are not a B2C company. So you don't hear us a lot because we supply to P&G and other brands that make the products. On the material side, it's the same thing. We supply the plastics, the engineering plastics to motor industry. So a lot of the cars, the engine plastic parts come from us. Why engineering plastic? Because during the molding processes, it has to endure high heat and high chemical endurance. So it is not normal plastics that you can apply. Okay? So making parts in servers, in mobile phones, Apple is our big customer because we supply lots of parts inside Apple, but you don't hear us again. Yeah? So we are not a B2C company. In fact, our value chain is very long. We have to go to Apple, understand what Steve Jobs has gone, but in the past, we need to understand what exactly he wants. What color, what size, what kind of quality inside iPhone. Okay, not just outside exterior. Outside as well, the cables, what type of plastic you use, how eco-friendly they are, and during the production process with very low emissions of CO2, it has to withstand stain from tomato sauce or mayonnaise and so on, all kind of testing. So we have to do all this kind of testing and understand the requirements. Then we work backwards with the molders, with the assembly makers. So Apple, Apple products is made in Foxconn. So really our customer, we sell to Foxconn, but we need to understand Apple. Okay? So our value chain is quite hard. Quite difficult to really appreciate and link to the eventual usage of the phone. So data analytics, a lot of it has a lot of success in a B2C environment, right? You can do dynamic pricing for retail, you can study traffic and so on. There's a lot of consumer space, and how do we use that internally in a B2B environment was our challenge. Now, I joined the company 2 years ago, and when I walked in the company, and I realized that our business warehouse environment is rather matured and sophisticated. We use our business warehouse environment to solve lots of problems that SAP cannot solve, CRM cannot solve, and we use lots of analysis. But I realized that what we are solving is always looking at things in the past. Okay? So after a while, we established a roadmap of information. I come from, my title is Business Information Director, and my responsibility is to work with the IT organization. No IT, but I work with the organizations, look in a strategic manner. But within the business group, we have to look at business processes, and information delivery. Okay, so I said, well, we really have to look into predictive. Whatever in the past is good, but let's look at what can we use in the future, for the future. So we explored for a while, and didn't have a lot of time to work on it. There's always day-to-day issue, other projects that distract us, until we came across an IDA who launched this whole exercise about being the data analytics center, and we come across Dextra. And so we said, okay, why don't we hop onto this opportunity and see what we can learn from there, from a B2B perspective. So I also recalled one of my business colleagues who said, Clara, how do we improve on our forecast? We are there, but we are not quite there. We don't have a fixed way of doing our forecast, it depending on whether the salesperson is in good mood, whether he wants to keep some in his pocket, whether, and so on and so forth. But we also have people who are really going through all kind of elements and doing, their forecast process. So we thought about, hopping onto the platform. We actually looked through many different aspects of the organization. Yeah, what information is ready to do this exercise, and whether we can manage the results. Okay, So after a while, a lot of internal debate, and also the buying in process. Don't assume that when we want to do this, we think that it's the benefits for the company, everybody will be excited, right? The people who have been analyzing data and say, I don't need that from you. I already know our business. We don't need that kind of analytics, yeah? And how can we have a group of people who do not know our business to tell us what our forecast would be, right? So there are people who are not so positive, but there are people who say, yeah, why don't we try, you know? There are people who read about big data and say, let's get into the picture. So, but anyhow, eventually, I got lots of support from the business community to launch this exercise. We focused on a certain segment of the business in Asia. We couldn't do everything because our business is so complex, from selling materials to mobile phones to food packaging to cars. All of this is different type of analytics. The trends are different, the dependencies are different, okay? So we said, okay, we don't do so well in electronics segment. Let's analyze how we can improve on the forecast in the electronics segment. So again, so we went through different processes for narrowing down. For electronics segment, it was also wide. So do we go to certain products or do we go to full range? So this is a lot of internal learning, how to organize ourselves, how to prepare the data, how do we secure our data. So those, I saw some familiar faces here who are our winners of a model. They work on the data that is anonymized, so it's pretty difficult for them to work, yeah? You know, everything is not exactly the real data. So, and then internally we need to translate the results into what is real, okay? So I think we went through, as was described by Daryl, about almost 70 submissions. We shortlisted top 6 that are closest to, with the most accurate prediction. And as I said, we have to measure it against something to know that it's a good model or not. That is also an identification process. And now we have the top 3 winners. But what we are doing now is this month there is a lot more clarifications of our data. So the top 3 winners were awarded for phase 1, which is to do a model that can predict our sales better than we do. Okay. Then the next journey is, can you make it an implementable model? Right? So we're going to give more information, more exchanges, answer more questions about how the business is about, getting deeper into the domain, and then we relate more into external information as well. The whole point of sharing that information is to plug what are the external information, the big data concepts are coming in, what impact our business. Okay? So give them have more understanding. They are working through the models, I hope, soon. And by March, we will hope to find the final model where we're going to implement it within the organization and to monitor the progress and see such kind of approach is workable or not. One of the caution I have is we will, as an organization, we have budget, we have forecast, we have revised forecast, and so on and so forth, ongoing. Having a model that throws you another forecast, is it helping or is it distracting? Okay, so how do you convince our colleague to say it is helping and not distracting? You know, so this is a learning process as well. So we're going to do it in a very controlled manner. Use it quite cautiously to find out how it really works. Okay, but we are pretty positive about this approach. We think that it will be helpful. This morning I was just talking to the team to say, you know, if we have a good model or forecast, what does it gain? What do we gain as a business? We probably should be a lot better in our resource allocation. We should be a lot better to know that if our forecast is telling us that we are only achieving X and we want to be Y, what actions we should take. In today's results from the various teams, I already had some good findings, such as a lot of our data are related to the PMI index in Japan and China, I believe. Yeah, and our data need to be analyzed with different models. No one model will work for all of our data. So because of the quality of the data, the spread of the data, we need different models. There are certain elements has the greatest impact in our forecast accuracy, which we were not quite aware before. And of course, we also have lots of data that are noise creating. So how do we address that? Without even implementing the model, we already gain something, new insights into what data we have today. Okay? So this is the journey. And my ambition is to say, if we are successful in this, then let's explore further into manufacturing processes, into R&D process, and so on and so forth. Okay, but okay, that's going to be a long journey because organizing the data takes time. It's, you know, we have R&D all over the world to collect all the information on R&D. It will take me a long time to get organized before I can do this kind of prediction. Okay, so that's where I am. Quite excited, and I just want to warn you that Dextra has very pushy project managers and directors. They're on my back all the time, just to make sure that we meet up with the, you know, we had the right milestone to keep the momentum going. Because this is another project is on top of all other projects that we are doing. It's not an easy situation. So Q&A. Any question?
Any questions?
Just a question on the type of noise that you found.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you can share that.
It basically is the quality of our data. Okay, and I mean, this to me is an issue because those data, we used it quite heavily for other purposes as well, and if it creates noise, that is not helpful. So we need to do some actions to clean up, to make this the helpful information and not noise.